And welcome back, everybody, to the second week of the Victory Lap. I'm your host, James Boss, joined alongside Shane Tinney, and we're about to get underway. How you feeling so far tonight?
I'm feeling good. How are you doing tonight?
You know, been a busy day so far. Been a busy week so far.
Of course.
Had the first show earlier with the whole staff. We had Jeremy and Rich had their first show earlier. Zeke and Jake just had theirs. It's been a busy night for sports talk, and we're going to get this one closed all up. And just to get the start, we're going to kick it right into some baseball action.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, we got it going in the back office over there, but Aaron Judge is at 60 homers right now. See the AL MVP right now?
I mean, is this even still a question? All credit to Shohei Ohtani. I think he's had a phenomenal year, but I think when you talk about MVP, the most valuable player to a team in the AL, I think it's got to be Judge, right? I mean, if you picture the Yankees, take him off that team for those few couple rough months in the summer, he was really the one keeping them afloat. So, and I mean, you see what he's doing now. Got his average up to 316, 317. It's got to be Judge.
I mean, I do think it's also Judge, but I wouldn't say there's no question. I think Ohtani's certainly got to be in the conversation because, I mean, what he's doing is just unheard of. Like, I get it. He won it last year, and, like, he's pretty much just doing the same thing this year, except the weird thing with Ohtani is he's kind of flipped what he was. Like, last year he was, like, an elite hitter and a good pitcher. This year he's an elite pitcher and just a good hitter. So, like, you're getting pretty much, like, one roster spot, but you have a 30 home run guy and a Cy Young. And on the other hand, you have Aaron Judge, who is basically with one roster spot, you have two 30 home run guys. So it's like, I don't know which one is really better. I'd still go Aaron Judge just because, like, I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier. He's having one of the best offensive seasons, I think, in the history of baseball. Yep. You could argue, outside of Barry Bonds, this is the best offensive season we have ever seen.
Yeah.
And I think and that would be a legitimate case. So it's certainly, I wouldn't say it's like a lock. I mean, it's a lock for Aaron Judge, I think.
I agree, especially because you see the Angels are eliminated from the playoffs now, and I think team records do matter.
No, they don't. Not anymore.
I think they do.
They don't anymore. I think they used to. I think we've started to see them kind of shift away from that. I still think it's going to play a big part because there's still enough olds voting for everything that they're just going to say, yeah, the best player on the best team is going to be the guy to win it. Granted, they're not even the best team.
But it's like you got to lead your guys to the best record, though.
Yeah, but, I mean, you can only do so much. Baseball's a team sport. One player doesn't lead you to the playoffs. I mean, you saw it. The Yankees were terrible, to start the second half, but Aaron Judge wasn't, and it still didn't matter. So, like, I don't know. I don't think you can really say that just because, you know, they're in the playoffs that he has to get a bonus for MVP. I'm not totally with that, but I think regardless of all of it, I mean, Judge should win MVP. Like, there's no reason he shouldn't. I just don't think it'll be unanimous because I think Shohei's going to steal some votes.
I could definitely see him getting a few votes for sure, but yeah, honestly, I don't really think it's going to be close because it seems to be like the conversation league-wide. I mean, I think Judge is the best player in the league. I think in both leagues, personally, but no, I think AL MVP, it's got to go to Aaron Judge.
Yeah,
sure.
And I mean, I think I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
But he's at 60 right now. They're playing right now. Doesn't have a homer yet because Michael Wacha's a coward and he walked him twice.
Yeah.
But how many homers do you think he ends the season with?
So I think the magic number is going to be 66. When you look at their schedule, they have, I think, 13 games remaining.
14. Well, 13 after today.
13 after today, right?
Yeah.
And with you see now, it seems like, I mean, he got 2 walks tonight. He got walked last night, I think at least once. It might have been twice, but you see pitchers kind of pitching around him now. So as far as him getting the opportunities, that just may not be there. So, and I mean, 13 games after tonight, that's not a lot.
I think it's kind of a lot for him, honestly. We've seen the tears that he's been going on. Like, 13 isn't a crazy number. Or it is a crazy number, kind of, for him. Because, like, right now, I mean, he's hitting a homer every other at bat, it feels like.
It does. But I don't think, no, he didn't have one last. No, he almost had one last night.
Almost.
He had the
deep
ground
double.
rule double.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, he came up again in the 9th inning, and watching that game, you could tell the crowd was just buzzing, waiting for him to see if he would get another chance in at bat, and he ended up getting walked. So, but I see him hitting 6 more on the year. I do.
I think the number I have is 67. I think he's going to hit 3 this weekend because he owns the Red Sox, and
that's true.
He's in the home crowd. He's going to break it this weekend. He's breaking Maris, or at least he's one behind him right now. Maris had 61.
One behind. He needs 2 to break it.
Yeah, so he's at least at the very least, he's tying Maris this weekend. There's no question in my mind there.
I agree.
I think he's going to pass Maris, and I think he's going to extend the lead this weekend. So I think he's hitting 3 here. I think he's hitting 1 in Toronto. I think he's hitting 2 in Baltimore, and then he closes his season. I honestly think the last series he's got a 4-game set against the Rangers. I wouldn't be surprised if he hits like 7 because balls fly there and the Rangers can't pitch, and it's going to be on the road. So like pitchers aren't going to be as afraid to throw strikes because I think that's playing into a lot of them right now. Is since the Yankees are at home, like pitchers are just way more unsettled because the crowd is getting so loud. So I think honestly the road games he's going to have a better chance of hitting them, and so I'm thinking he's getting 3 this weekend, 1 in Toronto, 2 in Baltimore, and then 2 in Texas because I think they're just going to give him a random day off somewhere in there. That's 68. Never mind. Aaron Judge is hitting 68 homers.
68.
Yeah,
I
that's the
think
number.
66. But and I think I agree too. Like those end of the season kind of like meaningless games, those last couple games, I think that's where he's got to take advantage of.
I think as long as Aaron Boone lets him play, he's going to be able to take advantage of him.
That's the thing too, because we see 13 games after tonight. That's assuming he plays every single game remaining, and that might not be the case. So
I think at least until he hits 61, they're gonna, or I think at least until he hits 62, they're gonna be putting him in the lineup almost every night because Boone is too afraid of the fans to make them that angry. But once he hits 62, I think he's going to start getting days off.
Yeah, which that's in the grand scheme of things.
It's smart.
That's probably more important than trying to, because even if he stayed at 60, that's a crazy number on a season that we haven't seen since.
We haven't seen it in was it since Bonds? I don't remember the last guy.
Stan had 59 a few years ago.
Stan had 59.
That might have been
That's the closest we've seen in a while.
Yeah.
I know that 60 doesn't happen often. I think he's the 9th player to ever hit 60 in a season. So, like, very exclusive company. These are numbers that you just don't see. And so, he's got it. We said it before. He's got to be MVP.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason he shouldn't. But to keep on this MVP, at least participants, the Angels missed the playoffs again. Do you think there is any chance that they trade Trout or Ohtani in this offseason?
So I really don't see Trout leaving, but around the All-Star break, wasn't there kind of rumors of Ohtani leaving?
There were some, because the Angels were terrible because they're terrible every year. And there were Ohtani's name was getting floated around, but I don't think it was ever that serious. I think it was just like some teams asking the Angels, being like, hey, Ohtani's a free agent kind of soon. You guys are terrible. Are you trying to trade him? And I don't think the Angels really were. But he was a name that was being thrown around in trade talks. So it's certainly, I think it's on the table. I think, like you said, I don't think they trade Trout. I don't think you can trade Trout.
No, because, spent his whole career there.
He's already locked up for 15 years. He's going to be there until the day he retires.
Yeah, as he should be.
Yeah.
That's his team. That's the city. It just goes with him.
And it does. And, he's also, the best baseball player we've seen in a long time.
Yep.
So, I will say, though, personally, I think they should trade them both. I think they're terrible. They don't have a farm system. They don't have other players on their team. They don't even have a whole lot of money. I think what they should do is just blow it up. And if that means trading Trout and Ohtani, I think you should trade Trout and Ohtani because they're not going anywhere with the team lined up the way it is. If people want to play in LA, they're going to go to the Dodgers. Like, no one wants to play for the Angels. They're continuously mediocre. The only time someone chose to play for them was Rendon, and like, what's he done? He's been awful. So I think the Angels should blow it up. I think Ohtani and Trout should go. And if you do trade them, you're going to get literally anything you could ever want in the world. That prospect haul is going to be absurd.
Yeah, so now that brings up the question. If the two of them were to leave, where could you see possibly them two playing?
I mean, it's hard to judge. I know for Trout, I think the best place for him would be Philly. It's where he's from. He's a huge Eagle fan. It's not where he's from. He was from Maine, I think, Melville, wherever that is.
Close enough.
Yeah, close.
Kind of.
Basically,
it's a vicinity.
Same area.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like a few hours apart.
Yeah.
He's a big Philly guy. So I think, at least from just like a fan perspective, I think Trout would probably like to be there, but I'm not sure if it would really work. I don't think their farm is good enough to trade for him. They've showed the willingness to make trades together. They traded Syndergaard went to Philly, so I guess if you can trade Noah Syndergaard to the Phillies, you can trade Mike Trout to the Phillies. Like, that's probably reasoning. But no, I mean, I don't know where he would go.
That would be a team.
It would be a team.
And Philly,
Bryce Harper, Mike Trout,
Yep.
Castellanos, Schwarber.
I wonder if they've been kind of...
Muto, he's been incredible.
I wonder if they've kind of had their eye out and kind of thinking the same thing.
I mean...
possibility of landing at least one of them.
I think they should at least look into it, because I think if Mike Trout is ever considered to be on the trade block, every team in the history of baseball should look into it. He's not, though. There's no way Mike Trout
he's
gets
only,
traded.
what?
He's
30.
like 30, but he's got injuries.
Yeah.
That's the issue, is his body barely works anymore. He's has the worry that he's got the career-ending back injury right now. He's saying it's not going to be an issue and he's going to keep playing through it, but he's been missing pretty much half the season for the last, it feels like, forever.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy. You think about Mike Trout, seems like he's been around for so long. Him and Aaron Judge are the same age.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's just one of them came up
crazy.
5 years earlier, pretty much.
Basically. And then what is Trout under contract? What is his contract?
He's under contract until he retires. I don't know the exact length. I know that he got, I think it was 14 for almost 400, if not 400. So he's there for the rest of time. It'll be interesting to see if he actually plays out his entire contract.
His 2019 he signed was $426.5 million.
Yeah. It's a lot of money.
I think he's doing good.
Yeah, he's doing all right.
He's hanging in there financially.
Yeah, it's gonna. The real contract that I'm interested in is Shohei, because we'll probably get into this more once free agency rolls around. And granted, that's not good. He's not hitting free agency for a while, but he's going to be the interesting one, because he could either go the route of pay me $400 million over 10 years, or he could just be give me 50 a year for 4 years, because he's worth either of those.
Yeah, when you look at other contracts around the league of the top players, he's got to be he's going to be up there too.
He should be the highest paid player in the history of baseball, because no one impacts the game like he does.
It's a hot take.
Is it?
History of the league?
Yeah. Look at it. I think Juan Soto's looking to be the highest paid player in the history of the league. I don't think the Padres haven't given him the extension yet. I don't
believe so, no.
Granted, they're going to try. But the way he's playing, these last 2 years, he's pitched and hit at an elite level both seasons. I genuinely think he should be the highest paid player to ever play the sport. I don't even think it's that outlandish of a statement, the way that because every single offseason, the next best player is going to be the new highest paid player, essentially. And so when Ohtani's time rolls around, there's no reason he shouldn't.
Yeah, and he absolutely is a one-of-a-kind player.
Yeah, no one's ever done it before.
Yeah, he would draw comparisons to doing stuff since Babe Ruth did.
But he's doing it better than Babe Ruth ever did.
You think? You really believe that?
Yeah.
With a straight face?
Yes. He hits just as good, and he pitches 10 times better. And he's doing it against better competition.
It's a bold take.
No, it's not. I don't think that's a bold take at all. Babe Ruth was not doing what Shohei Ohtani was doing, ever. He did, yes, he pitched and hit, but he wasn't hitting the same way that Ohtani was, and he wasn't pitching the same way either.
We'll have that conversation once his career concludes, and then we can stack up the numbers, but, I mean, come on. If we're purely looking, I mean, no, Ohtani's never going to hit the same amount of homers. He's never hitting, what was Babe Ruth have 700? 714.
Yeah. Ohtani's never hitting 714. No one's saying that. What I'm saying is purely by like a season by season, like the way is like a two-way player. Ohtani's doing something Babe Ruth never could. Babe Ruth, yeah, he pitched and hit, but he didn't pitch and hit to the same level as Ohtani did. He was a better hitter by the end of his career because he ended up focusing on that and he got better at it. But when he was doing both, Ohtani did both better. That's my take.
I mean, we got to see him win a World Series.
That means nothing.
We got to see him be a champion, though.
That doesn't impact anything.
That's got to add to his resume, though.
I'd love to see Ohtani win a championship.
I hope he does. I really
well, I think
do.
he's going to leave the Angels and then go to a team that's actually good. And then he'll probably actually win something. I don't know which team that'll be. I know the Yankees are one of those. I know they're in the running. And if Ohtani goes to the Yankees and they somehow keep Aaron Judge, then that team has absolutely no business not winning the World Series for every single season.
I would welcome Ohtani to New York.
I think everybody on the face of the earth would welcome Ohtani to their city.
That would be a nice addition to the squad. You know, throw him in the lineup. Ohtani, Judge, Stanton. You know?
Ohtani, Judge, Stanton. My God, you guys are hitting like 250.
250?
Yeah.
Not Judge. Not Judge. We're up into the
Judge
300s
hitting
now.
320 for a second season.
We're up there now.
Is there any chance that Aaron Judge repeats what he did this year? Like, even, like, comes close to doing this season a second time?
I mean, you never know, but I don't know. It seems like you see how much better he's gotten year after year.
Yeah.
As far as kind of laying off
sort of.
He doesn't swing at the pitches he used to anymore. He's a lot more selective in the batter's box. I mean, last year, I think he hit 280 last year.
Yeah.
So, him hitting for that high of an average, that might be tough to do again, and 60 home runs, too. So, but with Aaron Judge, we never know. You really never know. As long as he stays a Yankee.
I mean, he's going to Boston.
You stop that. Did you see the fan who retrieved his 60th home run ball?
Yep, gave it right back.
Gave it to him for free.
Yep. I mean, I think he ended up getting stuff for it anyway.
Yeah.
But,
Come on, Judge. That's the fans you want to lead? No. He's got to stay right where he's at.
You think there's a second person? There is no other fan in that entire stadium that would do that same thing.
I would have done that.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes, I would have.
Really now?
Absolutely.
You're telling me with a straight face that you would have given that ball back for free, knowing that you could have got literally anything you wanted from those guys?
Yes, as long as he told me he's going to sign with the Yankees for the rest of his career.
And with that, we're going to take a quick break. On the other side, we're going to have some more football talk. So thank you all for joining us here tonight. Yeah, we're going to get some football coming up in a short time.
All right.
And thank you all for joining us here tonight as we are on the second half of the Victory Lap here. I am your host, James Boss, joined alongside Shane Tinney as we are going to get underway with a little bit of football talk here. Starting it off, let's talk about the hometown Giants. They're 2-0. How are you feeling right now?
So, I mean, I'm feeling good. Obviously, you can't ask for a better start than 2-0, but, you know, I think we still need to see more from Daniel Jones. Looking at their first two games, we haven't seen him pass for over 200 yards yet. In the game against the Panthers, that really wasn't the most difficult opponent, let's be honest. But to their credit, they found ways to win the game. In week one, that was all Saquon. I mean, what do you have, 160, 165 yards?
Yeah, I think it was something stupid. I don't know the exact number. It was somewhere between 160 and 180.
Yeah, but I mean, they do have half the win totals they had all of last year already in only 2 games, which is, obviously a promising start. And this marks their first 2-0 start since 2016 from the famous boat picture, which none of them, I don't think, will ever be able to live that down. At this point, that picture and that story, it might just need a 30 for 30.
I mean, that's one of the greatest things that I have ever personally experienced in my entire life.
Yeah, it
made my entire year. Didn't matter if we lost, I think, the very next round, but hey, we beat the Giants because they were stupid and went on a boat and then warmed up shirtless.
Yeah, I mean, the picture, you had them wearing Timbs on the boat. Like, I mean, it was a pretty cool looking picture, but just everything that came after
tough. It was tough.
It was a pretty cool picture, but it's just, everything that came after that, it just all went downhill. And it still makes me wonder to this day, where was Eli during this?
I mean, literally anywhere else. Do you think Eli was actually hanging out with Odell?
I don't. And I kind of always felt like, man, Eli should have been kind of, the leader and making sure everybody's ready for that game.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I don't know. What can Eli? Eli couldn't control that team. But
that was a wild, yeah.
Eli was like the mild-mouthed Manning. He was just the one who was just there and happened to win a few times somehow. I still to this day don't know how Eli Manning has won 2 Super Bowls. It makes no sense. Good for him.
A lot of credit to that defense.
Oh, I'd say 90% of the credit to that defense, and the other 10 to David Tyree's helmet.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, those defenses were incredible. But yeah, no, I don't. That picture, I think that'll always be a question and something that people will bring up to everyone who was involved with that. But no, they had a solid season that year.
No, they were good. They were like legitimately good that season.
I think we finished 11-5 that year, and
yeah.
I think that was the 1 year of overlap with Odell and Victor Cruz, I believe.
I don't remember for sure, but I think that sounds right.
Yeah.
I just remember that they came into Lambeau and got smacked, and Aaron Rodgers threw like his 3rd Hail Mary of the season.
Yeah.
Great times.
But as far as this season, though, I think, absolutely, it's a promising start. But I think for them to be considered kind of like a threat in the division, I think we still need to see one of those statement games from Daniel Jones. And, we got the Cowboys on Monday night. Hopefully it could come against them. So
I think you might be waiting a while if you're looking for a Daniel Jones statement game.
But we just need to see that one breakout game.
You've been waiting for like 3 years now.
We have. We really have.
It hasn't happened. It won't happen. Daniel Jones is bad at football. He's fast, but he's too fast for his feet.
As we've seen.
He's bad. I think that's something we should be able to agree on at this point. And let's look at the Giants. They're 2-0. They beat Tennessee, they made the playoffs last year, but they just got absolutely smacked by the Bills. I don't understand them. Derrick Henry looks old and not good anymore, which seems strange.
It does.
Tannehill's bad. They don't have a receiver anymore because A.J. Brown's gone. I don't know if Tennessee's actually that good of a team anymore, especially if Derrick Henry's bad, they're definitely not a good team anymore.
Absolutely.
But so they beat Tennessee, and then they beat Carolina, who's awful.
Yeah, Carolina is no. That was.
I don't think that's a very impressive win.
No.
I think Tennessee was more impressive, but I wouldn't be surprised if we learn later down the line that the Titans were just a bad team this year.
Yeah, Derrick Henry's his first. Of course, it's still early. Only been 2 games, but we haven't seen some of those plays we saw a lot of last year. Just the breakaway, the stiff arms, we haven't seen that Derrick Henry yet, but still early though. So.
Yeah, we haven't really seen any of that yet.
No, there hasn't really been too many running backs that have. Well, we got Saquon.
You've got a few.
DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, he's the guy we'll talk about at some point later down the line.
We will.
There's been some good running backs. Jonathan Taylor, he didn't have a great. Last week he wasn't very good, but week 1 he was 140 and I think 2 touchdowns or something. So I think he's still fine. Last week is another thing we will talk about later down the line. Honestly, let's just talk about it right now. The Jaguars and the Lions are legit. I'm telling you, they're legit. The Lions they're getting 10 wins in a playoff game. I said it last week. I'll say it again this week. It's happening. The Lions are good.
You know, you did make that claim last week, and as we are seeing with the Lions, it might be a new era for them. I mean, they dropped, I think it was 35 points again this week. DeAndre Swift is looking like, so far, a top running back in the league. You know, so...
Yeah, they had 36 last week. DeAndre Swift is still absurdly good at football. And then you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, who has the greatest nickname in the history of sports. His nickname is the Sun God, apparently. Tell me that ain't tough. Tell me that ain't tough.
He got it.
He's unreal. I mean, he just broke the record or something. For like having 8 straight games with 8 receptions. Like he's unguardable, and I feel like he came out of nowhere.
I mean, we kind of started to see the writing on the wall for him towards the end of last season.
Yeah, we saw it at the end of last year.
Yeah, a little bit.
But like, I don't think we knew it was this good. At least I certainly didn't think it was this good.
Yeah, no, but it really might be a new time for the Lions, and honestly, it would be cool to see.
It would. They deserve it more than I think anybody. They've They've never seen they've never won a playoff game, right? That's what it is.
It's some bad stat like that.
It's either they've never seen a playoff game or they've never won a playoff game. I forget which. I think it's they've never won one. All I know is they're bad.
Even after they
were bad.
Even after they had Stafford and Megatron?
Yeah.
Did they win? No, maybe not.
I don't think they've won. I know it's definitely they've never been to a Super Bowl. I know that's one of them.
For sure.
But I don't think they've ever won a playoff game. I could just be absolutely spitting lies right now. Very much in the realm of possibilities. I do that from time to time. But I think the Lions have just never they've never won a playoff game. They're terrible. They've had a history of terrible. It can't be it. That's impossible. They had Barry Sanders. That's a lie. They've never seen a Super Bowl. That's what it is.
So you brought up the Jaguars also.
Yes.
I think you got a better case with the Lions than the Jaguars.
I mean, I'm not saying the Jaguars are getting 10 wins this season. I think that would be a far-fetched statement. But the Jags are making strides. They're a much better team this year than they were last year. I think Trevor Lawrence has taken a step forward. I still don't think he's great. He hasn't impressed me a whole lot. But the defense looked incredible. I mean, if you shut out any team, it doesn't matter if it's the Colts who have Matt Ryan throwing wobbly balls all over the field. It really, if you can shut out a professional football team, your defense is good. And the Jaguars, while they've done it to the Colts 3 times in the last 6 years, I think it's a legitimate force and a legitimate unit that should be taken fairly seriously in this football league.
Yeah, and what division? Who's their they're in the
AFC South.
Yeah.
So they have the Texans, the Colts, and the Titans. Their division is horrible. Honestly,
so far.
Them winning, no, not so far, just in general, their division is horrible.
Do we really think the Titans are going to be as bad as they are all year?
No, but I don't think they're going to win more than 10 games. I think that's lucky. I think Derrick Henry would have to start playing like Derrick Henry for that to happen. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if his legs have been ran out. Because, I mean,
he gets a lot of touches.
He got 30 touches a game for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So
really, it's worked.
It has.
It has worked.
But eventually that's going to wear him down, and so far it's worn him down. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Titans aren't good, especially if Derrick Henry keeps doing what he's doing right now. And the Colts should be a better team. Their skill position players are bad, especially when Micah Pittman's hurt. And Matt Ryan looks abysmal.
Yeah.
This is I didn't expect this.
This is uncharted territory.
I thought Matt Ryan was at least solid. Because, I mean, he's won an MVP before. Granted, it was a while ago. But, he's been a good quarterback. He wasn't even... I didn't think he was that bad last year. It's just... I watched him play this weekend. And, my God.
It wasn't pretty.
It was awful. It was ugly. About as bad as it gets. Those interceptions he threw were the least... you can't make excuses for that. They were the most inexcusable things I think I've ever seen. Every single pass... It wasn't tipped, but it was wobbly in the air. He didn't throw a single spiral on any of them. 2 of them were overthrown by 10 yards. He looked terrible. And I mean, the Jaguars did a great job taking advantage of it, and the offense did enough.
Yeah, now the Colts are going to take on the Chiefs next. That's
That's going to be brutal.
That's a tough.
I mean, that
might
might be 50 right there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they got a tall task ahead of them.
Yeah, but I think we can move past the Jaguars. I won't make you listen to me talk about them any longer. Let's move over to another team that's been kind of surprising so far to start the year, the Eagles. Do you think they're like a real threat for the NFC this season?
I mean, so far so good. I mean, Jalen Hurts is playing phenomenal this year so far. I think if he keeps up the way he's playing, could we see him in MVP talks?
Yes.
If the Eagles keep going the way they're going?
If he keeps doing what he's doing, absolutely. I mean, I think it's going to be hard for him to keep doing what he's doing, but he's such a defensive, a matchup nightmare. Like, it is so hard to guard a quarterback that can throw the football and run the football. There's not a whole lot of guys who can do them both well. And I'd say, honestly, the only quarterback who can run better than him is Lamar.
Yep.
And his arm is maybe not as good as Lamar's, but it's not that far.
No.
And he's honestly not a whole lot farther behind him in terms of the running ability. So, I wrote down in my notes that he's basically just a budget Lamar. And I think that's a good description of him. And Lamar's won an MVP.
Yeah.
So if Jalen Hurts can have a Lamar-type season, there's no reason he can't.
Yeah, and especially if the Eagles get to beat up on the Cowboys and the rest of the division, except for the Giants, the rest of the season, that's a lot of wins that could start to pile up for him.
Yeah, and I mean, he actually has weapons.
Yep.
Devontae Smith hasn't really done anything yet this year because A.J. Brown has been just disgusting. He's unguardable.
Yeah, he is.
Granted, they didn't seem like they really even needed him last week. He just ran it down their throats, ran it down the Vikings' throats. But he finally has guys to give the ball to, and the defensive side is great. I was worried they gave up a whole lot of points to the Lions, which, I mean, is that a sign that the Lions' offense is actually good? If the Eagles' defense is this good, and the Lions were able to drop 35 on them?
Yeah, we talked about that game last week. That game was a shootout.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of us predicted that one.
No, I mean, I didn't think I thought the Lions were going to be a defensive gritty team that just had to run it down your throat and would just hit your quarterback enough that they could win most games. Or not most games, but a good amount of games. I didn't think their offense would be this high-powered. And the fact that they were able to go into Philly and, do what they did, I think that means a lot. So, but this Eagles team, it's good. It is good. I wouldn't be surprised if I do think that, they're one of the top teams in the NFC. I might have them number 2 behind the Buccaneers.
Do we think they're a lock to win the NFC East?
They should be. I think they're hands down the best team. The only team that was close was the Cowboys, but Dak's hurt. And Cooper Rush isn't that good.
Mm-mm.
I mean, he looked good against the Bengals, I guess. Didn't look that good, but he was good enough to beat the Bengals. But I think they are the favorite to win the division. And, I mean, honestly, I think the only team in the NFC that is just straight up better than them is the Buccaneers. But even that's pretty close.
Yeah. Speaking of the Buccaneers, did you catch the little altercation on field with Mike Evans and backing up his boy Brady?
I did. Him and Marshawn Lattimore don't like each other very much.
No, there is history there.
There is. And apparently he was saying that Lattimore threw punches, and that's why he leveled him. Cannot confirm nor deny that statement, but I don't know. I know you have written on here if the suspension was deserved. It absolutely is.
Yeah.
You can't do that. That's not allowed.
I think what Evans was thinking was, okay, I basically have a free shot right now because he came up to Tom Brady.
I do think that Lattimore should have got something.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that he's getting off pretty much scot-free. I think did he get penalized for it?
Not that I saw.
I didn't think he did.
I could be wrong, but I don't believe so. The only thing I saw was Mike Evans is now suspended for 1 game.
Yeah, so I'm kind of surprised Lattimore is getting off as easily as he is. But, I mean, there's no world in which Mike Evans shouldn't get a suspension for that.
Yeah, because I really wasn't aware of their history before up until that happened. And then I saw, some videos of it, so I was kind of like, okay, this was brewing for a while.
Yeah, I knew I knew they didn't like each other. I didn't know the full extent to everything, but I knew that there was something there. And when I saw the notification that Mike Evans like levels Marshawn Lattimore, I was like, oh.
And he came in there with purpose.
Oh yeah.
He came sprinting in there and just kind of laid him right out, and then started to have sidelines clear and everything. But I think you really can't be doing that if you're Evans. So they probably had to give him at least one game.
Yeah, I mean the one game at the minimum is what he should be getting.
Yeah, and I don't know who do the Bucs got next weekend. Do we think that's gonna kind of hurt their chances now?
I mean, it definitely doesn't help
because they lost Julio too.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And is Godwin fully healthy right now? Bucs got the Packers next weekend.
Packers, that'll be a good one. Brady versus Rodgers, that'll always be fun.
I think the Packers are going to get smacked.
4:30 next Sunday.
The Packers offense isn't going to be able to move the ball in that defense.
It's Brady against Rodgers, though.
Yeah, and Rodgers is going to lose. Rodgers is going to lose like 30 to like 7. It's going to be brutal.
I'll be tuning in.
Oh, so will I.
Of course.
But I'm not sure I want to tune in. I will, but I don't want to. It's going to be miserable. You can get tickets for as low as $100 and $165 to this game.
Where's the game at?
Tampa.
Oh, do you want to go?
Yeah, totally. Let's drive down.
All right, I'll start packing.
Meanwhile, you can get tickets for the Jaguars and Chargers by a low of $18.
What a steal.
You want to head out there?
It's a great deal.
Want to go out to Cali?
Yes. I'm sure the weather is nicer than it is here.
Well, it's hotter than it is here, I can tell you that much. It's supposed to have a high. Never mind. This is the only game it doesn't have the weather for. Never mind. Oh, because it's in a dome, that's why.
Oh, yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah. Man, that's lame. All right, well, let's look at our next little topic we got here. Beautiful segues on board. I'm going to jump down here because this is a team that I want to talk about because didn't get the chance to talk about them earlier, and they've been the most disappointing thing that I've seen so far this season. That's got to be the Cincinnati Bengals. Just what are we feeling about them right now?
They are getting off to a very slow start that I don't think a lot of us, had pictured for them. 0-2, and I think I saw Joe Burrow had a press conference, and he kind of was like, I just deleted all social media, everything. So hopefully this is a sign of him kind of sort of relocking in and kind of getting that Super Bowl mindset from last year. So hopefully, because I think on paper they got one of the best rosters in the league. Yeah,
and the weirdest part, I'm not sure if it's actually that weird because it was so terrible last year, but like their offensive line was the part of their team that they like actively tried to improve this offseason, and it's somehow just as bad as it ever was, if not worse. And so it's not like they've been playing. They've played two solid defenses. The Cowboys' defense is pretty good.
It is.
And the Steelers' defense is very good. So at least there's some like reasonable excuse for him getting hit so much, but like
they got to put a stop to that, though.
They should. There's no part of it's the offensive line still isn't very good. Part of it's Joe Burrow does have to get rid of the ball faster.
He does.
I don't think you can put all of the blame on him because like at the end of the day, guys getting hit 6 times, the offensive line's fault.
6-7 times a game, like that is going to add up over the course of the season. We saw it last year.
Yeah, it's a miracle honestly that he's still even playing. Because he's been hit like 80 times over the last like 2 seasons, and this season's like 2 games deep. So it's unreal, just the durability that this guy's got so far. I know he tore his ACL in his rookie year, but like the sheer amount of hits that he's taken, he's willing to just get his head ripped off for his team as long as he doesn't miss a play. Like the guy's on another kind of planet, and I really do hope that like him deleting everything is just his way of going into like his zero dark 30 mode and just LeBron taking over the league. Because the Bengals are so much fun to watch when they're good.
They are, man. Jamar Chase, and he had a good game in week 1, but I think week 2 he couldn't really get much going. So I really do want to see them kind of get going again. because they definitely are one of the most fun teams to watch.
Yeah, and it is worrying with them though, because honestly, they play the Jets this week. I think if they lose this week, their season's over.
If they lose this week, then it's time to hit. Yeah, then they got problems.
Yeah, if Joe Burrow gets sacked 5 times again, their season's over. If Jamar doesn't have 200 yards, season might as well be over. Granted, he's got sauce, so maybe that's a little extreme.
Yeah.
But honestly, if they don't just smack the Jets, their season might as well be dead. Like if they win, if they have another close game this weekend, it's at this point it's just what are they doing? Because there's no reason that they should be playing the Jets in a close game. The Jets aren't good. They beat the Browns last week. The Browns aren't a good team either.
No.
So Joe Burrow should absolutely smack the tar out of the Jets this weekend, and anything less, honestly, I think is a disappointment.
Yeah, and I do think we will see them kind of come into form again. I don't think they're not going to be like this all season. I just
can't
think they talk about sometimes kind of like that hangover from having a long season the year before. I think that's kind of just what we're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly, and they came into this season with such high expectations coming off of last year, because last year they went in as one of the worst teams in the league. And no one thought they were going to be any good, and then all of a sudden they went all the way. Didn't win, but they went all the way.
Yeah, because we saw even with the Rams in Week 1 against the Bills, they looked sluggish.
Bad.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, granted, I mean, no, I'm not going to say the Rams aren't actually that good, because they are. But no, it's weird, man. I don't know. It's the Bengals should be a really good team. There's no reason they shouldn't. Their offensive line shouldn't be giving up 5 sacks a game. Their receivers should honestly just be good enough that they're open every single play that Joe Burrow can get the ball out of his hands in like 3 seconds at the most. Granted, 3 seconds is a long time. But like he shouldn't need to wait and hold on to the football to throw the ball to find a receiver. It should just be something that he can do just in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I just think, he definitely needs to start getting rid of the ball quicker. But I think, you got to look at that offensive line, man.
Yeah.
That's not helping.
No, it's certainly not.
At all, no.
But let's keep it on the topic of a very talented quarterback here. This one, on the other hand, 2-0 to start the season. Patrick Mahomes. Should he be getting more attention?
I really do believe so, because we're hearing all this talk, the talk about MVP. You hear Josh Allen, and now, even we talked about it earlier, could Jalen Hurts be up there? But Patrick Mahomes is quietly just threw for 5 touchdowns in Week 1. He's thrown for 4,000 passing yards in 4 straight seasons, 5,000 in his rookie year, first year as a starter, and he loses Tyreek Hill, and it's like you can't tell. They're still as dominant as they were last year. So it's almost like it's become so regular for him to be as great as he is.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think we've gotten desensitized to Patrick Mahomes. It's the same kind of thing that has kind of happened with us with LeBron. Like, it's when you're just exposed to greatness so often and just so consistently, it just starts to feel normal. And the fact that Patrick Mahomes is at a point where he feels normal is absurd, because what he's doing is not normal.
No.
He is, I mean, I don't remember if I said this on our show or if I said it just to you afterwards. I legitimately think that he could already have a case to be the best quarterback ever to ever play football. He's certainly the most talented player I have ever seen, and he has the best arm I've ever seen. He's more athletic than anybody with his arm talent that's ever stepped on the football field. He's legitimately the most talented quarterback I've ever seen play football, and so I think what he's doing should be getting talked about more. Like, he's that good. We shouldn't just be letting this be a normal occurrence.
And he's only 27 years old. And in today's NFL, we're kind of seeing, obviously we see it with Tom Brady.
See it with Aaron Rodgers. Both those guys are playing until they're 40.
Playing into their 40s. So you could look at Mahomes and say he's got at least another good, 10 years? Which is, absurd. Just thinking of if he can continue this, his numbers by the time he retires, they're going to be up there.
Yeah, and I mean, especially in the era that we're in right now that's so pass heavy, like, second half of his career, teams aren't going to be allowed to touch him anymore. And I mean, they're already barely allowed to touch him anymore, or right now. So like, he's gonna be able to play for as long as his arm functions, and I gotta imagine it's gonna work for a while. And so yeah, I mean, I expect him to break pretty much every record that Tom has set because he's a better quarterback than Tom Brady.
Do you really believe that? It's a bold take.
I think he's. I mean, if we're just talking talent level, 100%. Now, Brady's obviously the GOAT. You win.
Yeah.
You win as many times as he does. You have to be it. Like, there's no argument there.
7.
But if you're just talking just pure talent wise, Patrick Mahomes is leaps and bounds ahead of him. Like, it's not even close.
Some of the passes he'll make sometimes with the sidearm and stuff. You're watching, you just kind of toss your hands up like, how did he just throw that, get it through that window?
The one that really stands out to me, it was it was the one against the Buccaneers in the title game where he was getting brought down, like he was getting sacked, and he was like complete parallel with the ground, like an inch off of it, slings it out into the end zone, and it hits his guy. I forget which receiver it was, but it hit him in the helmet.
I remember
and it was
that.
the greatest throw I think I have ever seen, and it was an incompletion that hit his receiver in the face.
Yes, I remember. Yeah, didn't he get sacked and he was almost getting like spun around at the same time too, going to the ground and then just throws that to.
Yeah, it's like the guy makes some of the most absurd throws that I think anybody who's ever watched football can agree with. He's unreal. He should be talked about every single week. He should be someone that like we worship, like the second coming of Christ. Because honestly, in the terms of football, he basically is.
Yeah, and we heard all the talk over the offseason. He lost Tyreek Hill, which, granted, that was clearly his top target. Well, him and Kelsey. Kelsey was up there too, but
I think Kelsey's his guy.
Losing Tyreek, that's a tough
brutal.
loss. Yeah.
It is. It's hard because
it's only been 2 games, but he hasn't really missed a beat.
No, he hasn't at all. I mean, those 5 touchdowns week 1. He threw for 2 more against the Chargers.
A casual 5-day touchdown.
Yeah, casual.
Another day at the office for him.
Yeah, it was, and honestly, no one talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
He throws for 5 touchdowns in week 1, and everyone's talking about Josh Allen, and like, I mean, yeah, Josh Allen was great.
Absolutely.
But Patrick Mahomes had the performance of a lifetime.
Yeah. Josh Allen, I think that is the rematch we need to see this season at some point. That Bills-Chiefs game, yeah.
I want it. Do they play this year? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I don't know what's on the Thanksgiving games. I know.
Okay, so they do play week 6.
Week 6.
Week 6, it's in Kansas City. Somehow, some way, that's not a primetime game.
Yeah, the league dropped the ball.
What are we doing there?
What
Tickets
are
are $260 right now. You want to make the flight out there and hit up Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen?
That'd be something, wouldn't it?
It would be.
That would, wow.
Fireworks will be on display.
Yes. I think we mentioned it last week too. That game last season where they faced each other, that was one of the best games I've ever watched in its entirety.
I honestly think all of the best games I've ever seen Patrick Mahomes has been a part of. Because the 2 games that I can think of were that one with him against the Bills, and then the Monday night game, I think like 3 years ago, I want to say, against the Rams, where it was like 50 to like 40. It was like 55 to like 52 or something.
Yeah.
It was insane. It was the greatest performance Jared Goff has ever given, and it was only downhill from there. But, like, this guy...
Yeah, that game didn't make sense.
He's a fireworks show.
Yeah.
I mean, the Rams didn't make sense in general that year.
No.
What was going on there? How do you make... Sean McVay was cooking up something, because he made Jared Goff look like the greatest quarterback of all time.
He did. To his credit, he really did.
Yeah. It's incredible, honestly. He stinks.
Using what he's got. That was that definition.
Yeah, pretty much.
Working with what you got.
I mean, granted, had great pieces around him. He still had Gurley, and Gurley and Kupp were still around. I think he had Robert Woods. Granted, Kupp wasn't Kupp
It wasn't
now.
this Cooper Kupp.
It wasn't this Cooper
No.
Kupp, but it was still Cooper Kupp, who was still very good. But like, no, that team was insane. That was one of the best offenses I've ever seen. Yeah. But I think that's going to about wrap it up for us. We had a few topics that we weren't able to get to because we talked for too long on things, but happens. We like football. Like to thank everybody for listening to us here tonight. For James Boss, I've been joined by Shane Tinney.
Yep.
And like to thank everybody once again for listening.
We will be back next Thursday night from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m.
What he said.